All right, let's talk about one of the most incredible and, honestly, most important processes on the entire planet, photosynthesis. It's this quiet, green engine that's chugging away all around us, powering pretty much all life. To understand our world, you've really got to understand this.
But let's kick things off with a pretty wild, futuristic question. What if we could actually copy what plants do? I mean, could we build our own artificial leaves to create clean hydrogen fuel and power our future? It sounds like science fiction, but believe it or not, scientists are working on this exact problem right now.
But, before you can engineer the future, you have to understand the original. You've got to master the blueprint. And in this case, that blueprint is a process that nature has been perfecting for billions of years. So let's dive in and see how it works.
First things first, the leaf itself. And I want you to try and stop thinking of it as just a leaf. Think of it as the ultimate solar panel. It's a hyper-efficient, self-repairing, solar-powered factory, and it's the master design for how life itself captures energy from a star.
So what exactly is going on inside this little factory? Well, the process is called photosynthesis, and the name is a total giveaway. Photo means light, and synthesis means to make. So plants are literally making stuff using light as the power source.
Okay, so now it's time to put on our imaginary hard hats and shrink down for a tour of this incredible green factory. We're going to see how every single little part is perfectly designed to do its job.
So here it is, the factory floor. On the very top, you've got this waxy cuticle, which is basically waterproofing. Right under that is the epidermis, a see-through layer that acts like a window to let sunlight pour in. The mesophyll, that's the main workspace, and it is jam-packed with the actual machinery, the chloroplasts. The veins are the factory's plumbing, bringing water in and shipping the finished product out. And then you've got these brilliant little things called stomata.
Okay, these stomata are where things get really clever. They aren't just holes, they're intelligent gates. They have to open up to let in the main raw material, carbon dioxide, but they also have to close up to make sure the whole factory doesn't dry out. It's just a fantastic piece of biological engineering.
All right, so every factory needs a recipe, right? Well, this factory's recipe is powered by the sun itself. Let's take a look at the assembly line and see how it turns the simplest ingredients into energy-rich food.
So, how do the ingredients get to the factory floor? Well, the carbon dioxide just drifts in from the air, right through those smart gates, the stomata. Water gets pulled all the way up from the roots through the plant's internal plumbing. And then, the most important part, the sunlight, the energy, gets captured by a very special molecule.
Now, this is something that can be a little confusing, the difference between chlorophyll and sunlight. But think of it like this. Sunlight is the raw fuel. It's the pure energy. Chlorophyll is the spark plug. It's a special green pigment that grabs that energy and uses it to kickstart the whole reaction. It's crucial, but it doesn't get used up in the process.
And there it is, the secret recipe. This is the big aha moment. The plant takes simple carbon dioxide and water, and then, using the energy from sunlight, which is captured by chlorophyll, it produces two critical things: glucose, which is a sugar, and oxygen, which is, well, the air we breathe.
So, the factory's been busy, it's made its product, glucose. But the work isn't over. What does a plant actually do with all this sugar it's making day in and day out?
It doesn't just use it for one thing. That glucose gets split up for 4 different jobs. A pretty big chunk, about 40%, gets burned right away for immediate energy. The rest gets cleverly repackaged. Some of it is changed into a different sugar for transport, some gets put into long-term storage, and the rest is used as raw material to build things like new walls and leaves.
So why bother changing the glucose at all? Well, this is where the plant's chemistry is just genius. Glucose is perfect for quick energy. It's small, it dissolves in water, and it's really reactive. But those same properties make it bad for shipping or storing. So for transport, the plant makes less reactive sucrose. And for storage, it makes huge, insoluble starch molecules that won't cause any problems inside the cell.
And get this, glucose isn't just fuel. It's the ultimate Lego brick. By taking that glucose and mixing it with other simple nutrients it gets from the soil, like nitrate ions, the plant can build everything else it needs to survive, like all of its proteins. It's incredible.
Okay, so this factory sounds pretty perfect, right? Well, even this amazing system has its limits. Production can't just run at full throttle 24/7. There are bottlenecks that can slow the whole operation down.
And this brings us to a super important idea in biology called a limiting factor.
It's a simple concept, really. It just means that whatever key ingredient is in the shortest supply is the thing that dictates how fast the entire process can go. It's the weakest link in the chain.
Light is a perfect example. If you go from dim light to just the right amount of light, production speed's way up. But once you hit that sweet spot, adding more and more light does absolutely nothing. The factory is already working as fast as it can, and now something else, maybe the amount of CO2, has become the new bottleneck.
And it's not just light. The amount of carbon dioxide in the air is actually super low, so that's often the limiting factor. Temperature is a big one too. If it gets too cold, all the chemical reactions just slow to a crawl. And if it's too hot and dry, the plant will close its stomata to save water, which cuts off the CO2 supply and grinds production to a halt.
Okay, we've toured the tiny factory, we've seen the assembly line, now let's zoom out. Let's pull the camera way, way back and look at the absolutely mind-boggling impact this tiny molecular process has on our entire planet.
Remember we talked about carbon dioxide being a bottleneck? Well, get a load of this number. The air we're breathing right now is only 0.04% carbon dioxide. That's it, a ridiculously tiny fraction.
And yet, this single process takes that minuscule amount of CO2 and with it does everything. It is the one process that channels the sun's raw energy into our world, creating the foundation for almost every single food web. It produces the food that fuels almost all life on Earth, and as a byproduct, it maintains the very oxygen in the atmosphere that we all need to take our next breath.
Which brings us right back to where we started. Photosynthesis is this ancient, beautiful process that literally built our world and perfected life as we know it. And so the question for us is, can we learn from its incredible blueprint to help perfect our own future?